All right, everybody, Sylvia here, and I am in Portland, Oregon, where I am house sitting for the summer. I'm going to be here until October, and I am taking advantage of the time that my trailer is stationary in a friend's driveway. I've got all kinds of small and big projects that I am doing, and it's been really fun to have friends to help me with the projects and bounce ideas off of. Sometimes I have ideas and they're not all that great, and then I'll explain what I want to do, and my friends come up with much better ideas. It's been really fun, and I'm just slowly marking everything off on my list of things that I want to take care of over the summer. But today, I want to talk about something completely different. I want to talk about electric assist and battery range. This is a topic that is talked about a lot, and there's a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding. And I want to talk about how you can know what kind of range you get from your bike or trike in the conditions you ride in with your electric assist and your battery, so that when you go out for longer rides, you're going to have a lot more confidence. All right, let's get to it. Come on, Myrtle, let's go. All right, yes, so today I want to talk about electric assist and battery range. I really feel like this is a topic where there's a lot of misunderstanding. I think we've all seen how electric assist has really grown over the last few years. Personally, I think it's the biggest thing that has ever happened to cycling. It is definitely here to stay. I have been part of a cycling group here in the Pacific Northwest for probably close to 20 years. And, all the time there are more and more people showing up on rides with electric assist. And, this is a group I've been a part of for a long time. These are not just friends, but I think we really consider each other to be family. We do stuff together outside of cycling. We really count on each other, and we put together quite a few rides in the area. Usually they're like 20, 30, maybe 40 miles, and it's pretty typical at the end of the ride to meet up at a restaurant, have coffee, maybe a beer, bite to eat, and rehash the ride. I think this is really typical of most cycling groups, where you talk about, the challenging climb, the epic downhill, the mechanicals, the flats, the crazy weather, some people you met along the way, altercations. And it's always a big part of the ride is to talk about it afterward. And I've noticed that even that has changed with electric assist, where now people are talking about how much juice they have left in their battery at the end of a ride. People will say, oh, I've got 3 bars of juice left in my battery. And somebody else will say, oh, I have 4 bars of juice. And there's this underlying statement where people are saying, I paid for this motor and battery and put it on my bike or trike, but I don't really need it. I hardly used it. And you see this a lot on social media too. There are lots of cycling groups on Facebook, and I will often see people brag about being able to cover 70 miles on one battery. I've even seen people talk about 100 miles of range in a battery. And at first, when I see these stats, I think, my gosh, electric assist is really coming along. And then I think, if you don't use your motor, you can get an infinite number of miles out of a battery. And I really do think it's important to know the stats, like know what the range is for your system, for your riding in the terrain that you are in. And even manufacturer stats. Like I'll go into a bike shop just to kind of see what's out there, and listed in all the stats for the bike or trike will be the range that you can expect from the battery, and it's usually around 60 miles. And I always think, boy, that's, you know what, that's a full day. It's very rare that I will do more than 60 miles in a day. It's pretty rare that I'll even do 50 miles in a day. And so I think with that battery, I can pretty much go on any ride and feel confident that I'm going to get through to the end without being stranded and running out of juice. And, you know, there's just so much information that goes into how much range you are going to get out of your battery. And so that's really what I want to talk about. Like most of the time when we go out for bike rides, I think we're going for 20, 25, 30 miles. You don't really even think about the range on your battery. You're confident that you're going to make it to the end. You know, you'll come home, you'll plug in your battery, you'll top it off, and it'll be ready for the next ride. Where knowing about range really comes into play when you want to do longer rides, more challenging rides. Maybe you're thinking about doing touring with your electric assist, and in those conditions you really do need to know about your range. Like our group, cycling group, this club here in the Pacific Northwest, we have done a lot of charity rides all summer long. There are wonderful charity rides, and charity rides usually have a few distance options to choose from. There's like a 30-mile ride, a 62-mile ride, and a 100-mile ride, and usually we'll do the 62-mile ride. And before having electric assist, it was really just a matter of time and how long was it going to take you to do those 62 miles rather than whether or not you were going to make it. And now with the electric assist, you really do want to make sure that you can make it to the end of the ride. And how are you going to know what the range is for your battery? I mean, you could listen to the people on Facebook that post that they got through 70 miles, and you think, gosh, if they can get through 70 miles, certainly I can too. Well, maybe, and maybe not. There are so many variables that go into how far you are going to get on your battery that is not included in that stat. For instance, you don't know where that person is riding. You don't know the weather conditions, the road conditions, their physical condition, what their average speed was. You don't know what kind of climbing that they did on their ride. Maybe this person that does 70 miles on a battery lives in South Florida. It's very, very flat. Probably the only elevation that they're going to have is an overpass. They're gonna ride over some railroad tracks, a highway, a river. Otherwise, it's gonna be completely flat. Maybe on this ride where they got 70 miles, they had a booming tailwind, and you don't know what their average speed is. So maybe they really weren't asking to use very much of the motor because they weren't really pushing themselves very much. And so there's just a lot of things to think about and to look at when you're looking at range. And this goes for those manufacturer stats as well. You don't know where they got that number of 60 miles for range. Maybe, you know, what kind of roads were they using? Where was it? What kind of elevation were they climbing? You know what? Maybe they used a Tour de France caliber rider on a time trial bike in a velodrome where there's no weather, no elevation, it's completely smooth, and you're talking about a rider who is, you know, in a condition that none of us could ever even hope to achieve. And so there's just like a lot to think about. And so I want to talk about how I think is a better way to find out what the range is for you riding your bike or trike and your battery. So what I would really recommend doing is finding a hill. of the biggest hill you can find where you feel safe riding, and you are going to start riding this hill with a full battery. And you need a way to keep track of your stats, the metrics for speed, for miles, and mostly what you want is the elevation. You want to know how many feet or meters that you are going to climb while you are doing this experiment. So you are going to start maybe it's a phone app, a Garmin, a bike computer, and you're going to start that. You're going to start with a full battery, and you are going to climb this hill up and down, up and down, up and down until you run out of juice in your battery. And you want to do this climb at your normal pace. You're not trying for your Strava personal best. You want to do this at a comfortable pace so that at the end, it's very realistic. And so when you get to the end, you've run out of juice, you're gonna see how many miles you went and what was your average speed. And then the most important stat is how much elevation did you climb? And so let's say your bike club wants to do a charity ride and they've all decided, yeah, let's do the 62-mile ride. And you want to make sure that you can get through those 62 miles with your electric assist on one battery. And so the first thing you're going to do is look at the elevation profile for that ride and compare it to the elevation on this test that you just did. So maybe on your test you went 50 miles with 5,000 feet of climbing, averaging 10 to 12 miles an hour. You look at the stats for the ride and you see you've got 62 miles with 2,500 feet of climbing, and you're pretty sure your club is probably going to want to go a little bit faster than 10, 12 miles an hour. But with that comparison, you can feel confident that you're not going to have any trouble getting through that ride and not get stranded somewhere, running out of juice, not having phone service and like waiting around for the sag wagon to finally realize that you need to be picked up. And this really comes into play when you want to do touring with electric assist. It's really important that you know what the elevation profile is for every day that you ride. You're going to start and you're going to pick, the idea every day that you go touring is that you want to end someplace that it's going to be safe for you to spend the night. And so you're going to look at the elevation profile and you're going to say, okay, this is what I can handle. This is how long I want to ride. This is, the average speed that I want to ride. And just to make sure that you're not going to have any issues with your battery range. I know for me, I am such a slow climber that I cannot handle more than 3,500 feet in a day. There's just not enough time for me to do it. After riding for 6 hours, my gosh, you really just want to do something else. And I just know it's going to get to be about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I really want to be done. And so I know what my stats are and what I can expect for myself when I go for a ride so that I have confidence that I'm going to be able to get where I'm going safely. So there you go. That's my talk for the day, talking about battery range and a way to know how you can ride with confidence. And it's also a safety issue, so you can ride safely and know that you're going to get to the end. So let me know what you think. Maybe you've got a better idea for how to figure out battery range. Let me know in the comments section below. I love hearing from everybody. I answer all of the comments. And please remain safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next video.